whole life. And what do you get?
Hello. 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 Hello.
It's the holiday season.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Good morning.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
That's the truth.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale.
This is insane.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, folks. You can't imagine what your adulation, your loyalty, your devotion, what it all means to me. You just can't imagine. I'm serious.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah. You know. It's the day before. What have we been doing all this time then? The show the day before. St. Paddy's Day. Morning show with your host with the most, Tony Caravan. I did my best. I did my frickin' best. I think that's what I'm going to do is put out a 45. Two-sided 45. Instead of a long play album. And I got to see if I could find those things that you put inside the 45 because I doubt if anybody has those anymore. Unless they actually make the 45 to play in a... I don't know. Or maybe not. Anyway, I wanted to follow up on something that I talked about yesterday. This isn't the Vitality cereal. It's all serious. This is multigrain, cinnamon balance, multigrain cereal. It looks pretty good. Looks like it's just, simple enough. Some kind of multigrain cereal. Look here. Let's see if we can get this in focus. Might take a second. I might have to hold it here still or find the right distance. Come on, you could do it. These cameras that they have on these computers, this is an older computer. They're just not as good. I don't know if angling it will do better. No. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the love light. Let me climb up the ladder of your love. That's a line from a Jay Giles Band song.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm tired. I needed to sleep another hour. I moved the cat food upstairs, which is probably a big mistake because the front room where the cat hangs out, is like kind of where his window spot is. I don't use that room really. It smells like strong of cat food because I'm serving them liquid cat food. And yes, Tattoo, if by chance you are watching this, I've already gone. Tracy brought down some of that fancy feast stuff. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I've got camera 3 warming up here. As soon as I get rid of my photo app, which seems to come up anytime I plug in my iPhone 6S, that's how far behind I am. But let's go with iPhone here. Here we go, iPhone. But see, one thing about this iPhone is that at least the camera on the back of it, should be able to, especially with the light there, and if I angle it right, resist. I have these things. all these graphics that plop up. Sorry. Okay. And you just have to forget about the photo thing. All right. All right. Well, this seems to be in somewhat focus. All right. It's not the greatest. Calories 160. It says serving size 1 cup. I barely put even a quarter of a cup in because I ate oatmeal, but I found out that oatmeal's pretty bad too, but I don't have the oatmeal jar here or thing. So total fat 1.5 grams, and that really doesn't matter. And there's no poly on monos or trans fats. Okay, so now let's go further down. Cholesterol, no, and again, that's something that doctors say. I think it's your liver that creates most of your cholesterol anyway. But here's where they're poisoning us, and this is where the FDA is culpable. Total carbohydrates, 34 grams. Now they're claiming that's only 12% of your daily value. 34 grams is fucking beyond your daily value. Okay? Where's the frickin' camera hole? Let me take it out of this thing. You slave your whole life. That's from the original 12 Angry Men. Anyway, I think the focus is fairly well there. Total carbohydrates, 34 grams. All right? This is just part of my wall. Ace Rewards card. You got to spend $35 to get the discount. So that's not a big deal. All right, now the thing's like taking a spin on its own. Dietary fiber, 2 grams. That's nothing. Total sugars, 10 grams. Includes 10 added sugars, basically. So carbohydrates are sugars. It's just a different way of metabolizing them, but, it's sugar. And throw an additional 10 grams of sugar. So directly and indirectly, you're getting 44 grams of sugar. And look at that 10 grams of sugar. They're claiming that's only like 21% of your daily whatever. Then it goes on to show you some vitamins, that you get, which are meaningless. Okay? That's my coffee mug warmer, by the way. It's a guitar pick. My secondary keyboard. I mean, we need to do this every now and then. There's my Star Trek communicator. If I go back, this is the other computer, the audio computer. That's the one that you click here.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And that's its keyboard. And if you look closely over here, you'll see there are 2 mice. And there's a coffee pot. Not much left already. I mean, I just starting to show. And then this is the YouTube getup, which puts us, this is that glitch again. Just keeps coming up no matter how you do it. The glitch in the Matrix. This is like infinity that somehow when the creator was putting this together, and I don't know what that is. That's YouTube Studio. But for a second, it looked like some kind of image. Once I was messing around with this glitchy thing, and I swear, and I have a picture of it. I did a screen capture. Somewhere, this is like we're looking through dimensions, all right? These are all different dimensions. So there are an infinite amount of dimensions. And one time I was doing this, and actually somewhere down deep, it wasn't that far down. I don't know. It could have been around the 12th dimension. A creature became visible. And I don't mean to use this word, but I shite you not. Seriously. I was publishing a magazine at the time, and I even put it in the magazine because I thought it was so interesting. never received a single comment about it. People don't know how to respond to that stuff, you know.
The future. He came from the future. And so do I.
But you said that he wasn't human, that he was some other kind of being.
Another world and another time.
Yeah. People just don't get it, you know. Oh, me aching back. Now, why is it me aching back today? Friends, the white handkerchief, the legendary white handkerchief. Clean. Smells clean. I did laundry yesterday. I took a bath. Well, it's not the bath, it's the laundry. Here's what I did. For those of you interested, and I know we just heard this, but
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
this is the vlog portion of the show. Okay? So let's just go through this. I already mentioned a thing about Tattoo's remark about my cat has low body weight, so I moved the food up there. Now I have to hope that the bugs don't appear there. So what I did yesterday was I got down on my hands and knees, man, and it's like, you get over a certain age, and it's like, it's me aching back, all right? Doing back-breaking work is for young'uns, all right? When you're 18, 20, maybe 30, that's about it. That's a cutoff date, 35. You don't want to do back-breaking work after the age 35, and I've gone beyond that. So the thing is, so there I am. So I've got this, I put in an Instacart order to the Dollar General store. And I'm giving them a free plug. Like I said, this show is not sponsored by anybody, even though it says Great Solar Stuff and ROCKFLUX and all that stuff. It's like, they're not companies, they're just websites of mine. But I put it in there so I don't have to get into an argument with YouTube. Well, you are talking about, your jackery and it's available on there. You're talking about this book Codex or Then What, and they should buy it on Amazon. And you're talking about getting through a power, failure with one of these things. And buying your hoodies. Yeah, I know. But it's like, they're not sponsoring me. I don't make any money on it. And none of those suckers out there buy it. Don't call your viewers suckers. You never make fun of the people watching or listening. Of course you do. Of course you do. YouTube is a joke, man. This whole thing's a joke. The internet's a joke. The internet's A, it's broken. B, it's a joke. So anyway, I'm going to talk up. So Dollar General through Instacart. Now, Instacart is not for everybody. Unless you use it a lot and you get the express delivery, which costs you like $99 a year. Which I don't know the value of it because they still seem to charge you a service charge of a couple of bucks. So you're getting less of a service charge. You got to tip the driver pretty much, There's only so many drivers in your area, and I've already noticed the same faces. I use it at least twice a month, sometimes thrice. All right. So I don't want, I give them I give a 15%, which for that kind of thing is good because all their, they've got to be getting paid some kind of wage. I don't think they're like totally freebie doing this thing. You see? I mean, I don't know if it would pay off because there's a lot of cheapskates out there that probably don't even tip them. So I don't think they would do it for free. So they got to be making, I don't know, some base, almost like the waiter or waitress salary, whatever that is. Let's look that up just for the hell of it. Let's go to the display capture and look up new tab. How much do waiters make? Well, I guess it all depends on where they are. But it looks like something $7.45 to $24.05 per hour. $24.05 per hour. Imagine that. I know it might not seem like much to you. But let's assume that they get the lowest of the low where I am, because this is a depressed area pretty much. All right. Say they're only getting $5, $6, I'm giving 15%. You order a $50 order or something like that. Usually ends up being 50 or 60, around $50. So, 10% is $5. Add another $5, 5 onto that. That's half of, that's like $7.50. So the person's making, and that's just from your order. And the whole thing is, some of these places are pretty nearby, and they come pretty fairly quick, or it comes within like a couple hours, within an hour or two, which means they're doing a couple of orders. So they're getting a basic wage, and then they're getting tipped. Maybe they're getting, I don't know how many people, depends on how big the orders are, but I would imagine they're doing a minimum of 2 to 3 people, somewhere around 2 to 3 people per hour, probably. All right. So, $7.50, times 3, right? So, plus your hourly, so it's got to be about $30 per hour. I mean, I bet you some of these people only work, even if you only worked like a little close to 3 hours or so a day, right? Which is, kind of a long time to do that. You get pretty tired. It's $100 a day, $500 a week, $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, right? It's not bad for, somebody in an area like this, but I'm sure there's people that make 30, 40, 50,000 a year doing it delivery wise. Anyway, that's that. You don't want to piss them off because that's their money. So I give them the 15%. I don't, you could give them 0, 5, 10, 15, and then I guess you could give 20. But I mean, at that point, it's like you might as well get a car and, a cab or Uber and go, Or I could walk down the store. But anyway, there's Dollar Tree. Or no, Dollar General. Dollar Tree, remember, is now $1.25. I know this is a long story.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Bear with me. It's my show. I'm just waking up, drinking my coffee. I swear every day the amount of coffee in here just seems to diminish. And it's not like I'm like chugging this thing. I don't know. I have to like see how big this coffee mug. This is the official ROCKFLUX coffee mug, by the way. With the logo on it. But you can get it at ROCKFLUX.com. Well, there's a link to it at ROCKFLUX.com. It's not that expensive. You should get one, man. And so Dollar General has a good selection of stuff. I was surprised. Now, let me tell you some of the things. I don't have a list here of what I ordered, and I don't know if my phone, I have my phone. I turn my, well, no, it's not plugged into the computer, so I could turn it on. Let's see. I'm going to the app. That's why I'm looking down. And I'm going to see if they have like yesterday's order on here for some reason. Look how green it is. Well, you can't see. It's all green. Okay. Well, no, this is buy it again. Okay, so I got a can of Lysol spray. And you know how hard it is to get that. I was sweating that one out. I got Charmin toilet paper, a 6-roll pack, which isn't bad, right? And hard to get. I have to look through because it's showing me my buy it again like list. Your lists. Okay. And there's things I've ordered in the past that I didn't order yesterday. So I'm going through. I got Lysol disinfecting wipes, which I'm glad I did because I used a heck of a lot yesterday. This is building up to a story. I see at one point I ordered liquid plumber there, but not yesterday. At one point I ordered Reese's peanut butter cups, but not Reese's peanut butter cups now have potato chips inside. Who needs to go to Mars? That thing so cracks me up. All items. It's not showing everything. Let's see. Shop. It doesn't seem that I'm looking for like year orders like they have. Let me go home. Like year orders like they have on Amazon. So I'm going to have to remember some of the other items. Let me see. Family, I think it was Family Dollar, by the way. What did I say? Dollar General. Well, anyway, I got all those key items. Let me see if it's going to show me more. No, it's not. I wasted your time and my time. But anyway, so just to say, I didn't get this there. Wake up with whole grains. We love our Cinnamon multi-grain cereal with 24 grams of whole grain per serving. We can't think of a better way to start your day. The point of the matter is they're saying that you don't want this whole grain wheat to begin with. It's not necessarily healthy for you. And with all that, with 34 grams of carbs and 10 grams of sugars, you're like, you blew it. Now, yesterday, I told you that I had that other cereal called like Vitality, which was just as bad as that. These were ones that I had ordered through another place. I don't want to badmouth some of these stores. But anyway, so Instacart, I think I might have said Instagram. If I didn't, I don't know. I can't keep track. Half the time I correct myself, I realize I didn't say the thing I thought I said. No matter. There goes their trucks, coal trucks that fuel the electric cars. So I ordered caulk that you actually, a tube of caulk that you actually put in, the caulk, let me do it this way, the caulk gun, like the contractor type caulk gun, not a tube of caulk. It was only it was less than $2, around $2. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And so I also ordered some 100% silicone, and the brand Loctite, which is a decent, it's a major brand. So, wasn't like it was like some, weird name, something made in China that looks like a thing, but it's not the thing, which is the truth. So I got that. I didn't even open that pack. That's for the attic because it's going to, we're supposed to have, if I take a quick look here, I'm all over the place, but it always makes sense. Tomorrow, there's a 50% chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow. Wait a second. Now that just vanished and got moved back till Saturday. Temperature now is 41 degrees outside. It's supposed to get a little bit colder. Today it's supposed to be sunny and 64 degrees. That means back by my greenhouse, it's going to be like 70, 72 degrees. And we're so close to the beginning of the spring that I actually think you can get some vitamin D from the sun. So I may have to pull my chair out and sit that there, wipe it down. I wasn't going to do work. I didn't want to get all grubby and, because I came in the house, my washer and dryer right by the back door. You come in the porch into the kitchen bar area, but they're there, right there at the right. And so I basically just took off the clothes I was wearing, threw them in the washer, right, and went upstairs and took a shower. Because it was like, remember, we've had snow and it was starting to melt, and and even though I had I had these work shoes on that I keep out in the porch, hardly call it a mud room. That place is so small, and I have so much stuff in there. Everything from trying to grow plants to using it as a mud room to storing some things. I mean, it's just, and it's like, it's not even a porch, like, because you couldn't really put a chair on it. I don't know. It's weird. It's like a passageway into the kitchen. It's just like a second door. Serves as a security thing. Somebody thinks they're breaking into the back door. Good luck getting in. But if they did, then they would be confronted with, oh man, another door I got to go through. Yeah, I get a new door handle for the second door today. I told that story a couple shows ago. But anyway, if it's going to be 64 degrees, that means out in the area where I would do my work, because I'm trying to prep and clean up the garden because I didn't clean it up properly in the fall. So I might do that, but I need, that means dirtying another pair of pants and getting all sweaty and, the gloves and a hat. Yeah, I know, but I have to do it. But me aching back, but it's going to be, like I said, this is a south-facing yard, and that area back there is like, if it's 64 degrees outside when it gets there, it's going to be 39 right before sunrise. So it's still cold. But it's going to get up to 64 today. So even if it's 60 when I go out, if I go out at middle of the day, it'll be in the 70s back there, because where the way that area just like, the sun, and my greenhouse will be like 90 degrees. Anyway, let's flash back to a few hours prior to that. Then we'll talk about outside. So I'm down on my hands and knees with this caulk that I got from Instacart, right? And I'm caulking in my kitchen because of this cat, because I had some bugs that were like getting in the cat's water and whatever. This just sounds gross and sick, but it's right by the back door. This woman next door is a hoarder, apparently, and I don't know if she got her. Well, I know she got her place exterminated one time. So I don't know if these bugs somehow came when she got exterminated. They were coming up through the drain, because I swear I saw a bug crawl up through the sink drain. I know this is making you sick. It makes me sick. I turn the hot water on and then pour down some boric acid down the sink. But anyway, to have cat food out, and now I have to switch the cat to real smelly cat food, because it went to the vet and it wasn't eating its dry food, and it lost a lot of weight. The vet said it was, at least at this juncture, didn't see anything extremely like it had a problem. So advised, giving it, adult senior cat food type of stuff, but whatever. Tattoo said fancy feast, and I already have like about 6 or 8 cans of that sitting right on the counter right now. And I've been giving it, different ones, beef and liver, but shrimp. You give it like salmon and shrimp flavor. And like that scent is so strong. All right. And these bugs, can smell the stuff a mile away, basically. So, and I had seen something crawl out of like his water bowl, and because he wasn't drinking his water. So I'm giving him this moist food. Though he's used the litter box. But I figured that's like was pulling it in because I have seen a couple of bugs. I normally don't see bugs. Like it was once every couple of weeks I might see something by the sink or something that I figured came up through the drain or somehow. So anyway, I go, all right, maybe it's not that. This is out of control because I started to see a couple of bugs, right? Not a lot. And, and I keep the place clean, and it's not really filled with, I have a bar room type of setup in that room. But, there's things on the wall and stuff, but it's just like, things of, memorabilia type of stuff, posters and things I've done and stuff. But, it's just paperish stuff. It's not like. And the way the room is, it's like a linoleum type of floor with a baseboard with that, some kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say polymer or, rubberized type of molding. So it's not even the wood molding. It's a type that's glued on. Like there's no way even an insect could, it's like going down to Puka, or whatever the heck it is, the way the rocks are, in these ancient structures, right? You can't get a piece of paper or a razor blade through the crack. So they're not coming in through anything like that. And underneath my sink, like where the pipes come up, I've got that grate stuff in, which I put a long time ago. So there's no way like they could any kind of thing could come from the basement up. And I just do that as a precaution, because I've had, when I first moved in, there were like those little tiny, sometimes you get red ants in a kitchen. That happens. And that's not gross. That happens to anybody. I've seen that happen to people with like $1 million homes sometimes, have some red ants in their, But anyway, they're easy to get rid of, and I got rid of those things 7 years ago or 6 years ago, whenever I moved in this place. Forget. So I had put that there, and then I found out through trial and error, everything from roach motels to this liquid stuff that they're supposed to like eat and then take back to the nest, and then it kills the whole colony, or if there is one, to sprays and you name it. I had the foggers in the basement, and I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and then I started watching some things by some actual exterminator guys. And they basically, apart from some particular chemical that's fairly deadly, and I got a cat and me in the house, then I'm not going to use, and it's pretty expensive. And it would be like a spray. You're just supposed to leave the house for like 24 hours or something like that. Forget that. Or for a ridiculous, where am I going to go? And certainly not this time of year. Maybe today it's 64 degrees. I could hang outside for hours. But then you got to go to the bathroom and all that stuff. So it's just not practical. But anyway, what the hands down thing that was suggested was boric acid, not necessarily borax. Though people will recommend borax outside, like if you have a snake or rodent problem or something like that, like snakes and stuff don't like to crawl over borax for some reason. There's also some stuff called crustaceous earth or something, and that's something that like ants and little those kinds of things don't like to crawl over because it's some kind of like microscopic level or something. It like scratches the surface of their body, and yeah, it's not good for them. And they don't, it's like climbing, they're so tiny, but something about that structure of it, it's like they're crawling over razor blades or something. And I have some of that stuff, and I'll put some of that by my back door and around my garden area, because it's like an inert thing. It doesn't affect your plants. It's just like it's like a rock or something. It's crushed powder, but it's like, I don't know. But boric acid they get this on them, they crawl it. So I put boric acid like any areas that aren't hermetically sealed. And so under my kitchen sink, apart from having like my chemicals under there, things like the things I use in the laundry and cleaning supplies, so that already is a deterrent for insects. You know, they don't like the smells of that kind of stuff. But I've got boric acid all lined up in the corners and stuff, which I've been adding to, you know, for a long time. I've got boric acid in the corners of I have a couple of drawers on my sink. I have one of those old-fashioned sinks. And I just put some boric acid in the corners. But I open up those drawers and I've never seen a bug inside a drawer. I've only seen them on the counter by the sink and then on the floor, like near this radiator thing. So I'm down on the floor and I figure, well, the radiator's got to be the loose end. That's got to be the problem. And so I caulked all along the back as best I could. I had to get down like flat on the ground. Well, first I vacuumed the entire place with my good vacuum cleaner. If you're like me, I have two other vacuum cleaners like in this. On the way to the basement, there's a little alcove, you know. Vacuum cleaners just don't last. They were the ones without the bag. So I finally got, like last year, I got a bag vacuum cleaner, a Hoover. I don't even know if I'll be able to get bags for it. And I think I only have 2 or 3 left, if that, maybe 2 tops. And I probably, after what I did yesterday, because I really vacuumed everything downstairs, real super, extra. So I vacuumed, and then I took, instead of mopping or something like that, I was just I had like a whole roll of paper towels, and I also had like these Clorox disinfectant wipes, and I was literally hand cleaning the corners and stuff, and then dry, and then I was using like some hot soap and water. And then I was using paper towels to dry the area off because I was going to caulk it. And I let it sit, and I opened the window because yesterday it was like in the 50s, 57 maybe. And so the heat was on in the area where I was working. This is a big radiator. But at the same time, I had a fan on, exhausting out. So, the whole area got clean, vacuumed, disinfected, washed and dried. All right. And then I proceeded to find any area after doing that had the slightest bit of just a thin crack where some little tiny bug of sorts could crawl through. Right. And it's going to be in the 60s for 4 days, supposedly. But Saturday and Sunday, it looks like, are the rain days now. But you can't trust that because it said it was going to rain tomorrow. All right? Fix my chair and just keep support on the back because I was bent. We'll get to the rest of it. I'm sorry this is a long story, but it's my vlog.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Yeah, I know. Gulp. Well, this coffee's going fast. So I do that. And, and the floor is clean. I move furniture. I don't have much. Like I said, it's kind of pretty sparse because I have this bar that's just like fastened to the wall and then has like 2 upright, holding it there. There's really nothing much on it. There's no places to run and hide. I mean, under the refrigerator and the stove are potential areas. But this boric acid comes in this thing that has a nozzle at the top of it. And you kind of just open it this way. It's a powder. But if you squeeze the bottle, it kind of not sprays, but, well, yeah, kind of sprays, but kind of forces out the powder in a direction, almost like a spray. But it's just powder. There's no mechanics or any kind of aerosol or any kind of thing like that. It's just a nozzle on a plastic bottle with powder in it. Boric acid, 100% boric acid. And so I put that behind like the washer, dryer, refrigerator, stove, and I've tried to squeeze it in the front areas of it too as well. And the idea is if the thing crawls over this boric acid, I guess this is the cruel part, it gets it on it, and believe it or not, bugs, these kind of bugs, pest bugs, are they're always like washing themselves, like the feelers and stuff. Well, anyway, they get this in them, and it basically it's poison. And what bugs do is they follow the feces of another bug. That's how they find, that's one of their tracking mechanisms. And they eat it, believe it or not. And so then they get the boric acid in them. And then, it's like, and then that's the end of them. And I guess they're also somewhat aware of it, but because it's an acid, it's boric acid, it's not like some of these other sprays and stuff where you get, some of these exterminators have explained that people who buy these Raid type of products, and I'm not picking out one company, but you know what I'm talking, as an example, that even the professional products that some of the exterminators use when they get into these places that have infestations. I don't have an infestation. I've got some bugs coming in. I don't know if they're coming in through the sewer pipe from the next door neighbor or somehow through the walls or something. I don't know. When the weather changes, I got to buy some mortar and literally mortar the sides of my house facing this woman's house, any nooks and cranny, and then paint or put some sealant. It's like that's all I seem to be doing is sealing this house constantly with it. We're not even talking about the roof. So I did that, and I did a fairly good job. It was a royal pain in the ass, and it took about 2 hours to really do a thorough job of any possible of cleaning first, complete, absolute cleaning, scrubbing down, vacuuming, and then looking for any possible spot that wasn't hermetically sealed, so to speak. Because and then all those areas I caulked, and I end up using your finger to get it in there really good and all this stuff. And then even after that, and then I went outside. And then I basically did some trimming of the grapevines that are climbing up my house, which I do not want taking over the house. So I cut through half, most of them, but the doctor, actually my doctor, who's next door, had her car parked so close to my fence that I couldn't get part of the vines cut off. I would have had to I couldn't. I couldn't even get in between. I don't know. She parks so close to the fence sometime. I don't know why she does it. And she has it's like a BMW, or it's a really nice, it's an expensive car, but she parks right against these things, it could scrape the paint off her car. I don't know why she does it. The parking lot's really, it's not a parking lot, but I mean it's a space between my house. That's the nice side of the house. The psycho woman with the hoarders on the other side, right? But anyway, the one that's probably causing all these problems for me. When I used to help her out, she had rats in her house, that woman. And that's one of the reasons why I have my house so hermetically sealed, because, I used to see chipmunks trying to get in towards the door. There's a little entrance door towards the back, in the backyard, towards the basement. And I just took concrete and I just sealed, all those, any possible ways. And I hate going down in my basement, but the last time I did, and this was like this past summer, I went down there with the 5-gallon bucket of like mortar and stuff, and I patched I sealed everything. And I think at that time I also had done a bug spray around, which I'm overdue for doing. And it's something, I guess today's going to be another one of those days where that's what I'm saying. It's like not looking forward to it, because I hate these days where I've got to, find like clothes that are almost disposable or the worst clothes I possibly have. Because if I end up going down into my basement and spraying, because I think I still have like enough bug spray to do like around the room in the basement, around the ceiling, facing this kitchen area, because I think that's what I need. I wanted to put the foggers in, but I have a gas furnace and there's only one brand of fogger that kills all these bugs. And they work. And a day like today's the ideal day because you can have the back window open. So anything that like seeps through somehow seeps up through the floor joist or something, will go out. I could have the fan on and have it blown out the window and be outside. And since I have the cat food already upstairs, the cat's going to hang out there. It's going to be sunny, so it just sits in the window in this front room. And I'll have the door closed and its food's in there. So it's like no harm to any of us. I'll be outside. It'll be a floor above with the door shut. So anyway, to make a long story longer, I did all that. This morning I came down and there was a bug on the counter, which I proceeded to like a pinball machine flipper, flip it into the sink and down the drain. And I was preparing my coffee. And I looked down and I thought I saw some other little small round bug. I don't even know what kind of bug it is, right? And I bought some new coffee filters, and in my hand was the coffee filter plastic, the thing they came in, because I put them in a separate container for ease of access. So I had that plastic thing in my hand, so I grabbed that thing on the floor and, squished the bug and threw it in the garbage. So 2 bugs after all that work I did yesterday, which is actually more than I've seen on a regular basis, because like I say, I'll go weeks and not see anything. So something duplicated somewhere and somehow, and they say if you see one, that there's more. So if you see 2, you got some problems. But like I say, it's not an infestation, because I've really gone over the place, and it's almost like they're coming in from the outside almost, I think, somehow. I don't know. Unless they're coming up through the drain. See, all I have is this mesh thing over top of my sink drain. I guess I need to get one of those things like people have on a garbage disposal or something that like seals it down. Or just a normal thing. I bought this house. It came with what it was. There was nothing even there for the sink, so I had to buy one of these mesh things. I like these mesh things because it catches anything, and then you just take it and just, bang it in the garbage can and clean it out, and so you don't get junk and clogs in your drain. All this information. Oh. But anyway, so I go outside after feeling success. The room looked clean. The window was now opened. It was getting aired out. The cat's upstairs. It ate its wet food. It was a little confused, what was going on. But it was sunny enough, and it was in its window spot. And so it was just, laying, basking in the sun, and it had access to food, right? So, and I'm out back. So I had this Christmas tree. Someone gave me literally, this is about the size of it, one of these dwarf Christmas trees that you could plant. I was hoping it was it was real. It's a living thing, but it's been like losing its stuff. Even though I've been watering it and taking care of it, whatnot. These are supposed to be evergreens. They're supposed, anyway. So I might have to get some kind of, plant food spikes or something, because I want the thing to survive. But I was hoping that it would have been, something that would have grown into. Oh, look at that muscle. Grown into a, a tree. Because it would have been neat, because I have all these solar light things. I'm into that kind of stuff. Solar power. Solar light power and stuff. Great solar stuff. I keep my Christmas lights on all year long on my porch because they're solar powered, and I've got them all, kind of stapled in and around. So it's like, it'd be more trouble taking them down. So, and, summer night, my porch is lit light, but it's just white light. So it's acceptable. If it was like they were colored and flashing, I guess that would be different. Though I wouldn't care. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I think it's neat. But I was hoping that it would be a tree that would have grown, because then I could have had like this Christmas tree in the backyard, and I could have had solar lights attached to it. And so in the wintertime, there'd be this like lit Christmas tree in my backyard. But nonetheless, I put it in the ground, and it's there, and it'll remain there, and it'll be a little tiny, just another additive to the garden in a spot that I really don't really put anything. So it's fine. And I'll put I have a roll of this, which I'll probably finish off this year since everything's so expensive. But I still have like a partial roll of what they call landscaping fabric. And so I'll probably put landscaping fabric. That would be another thing I would do today. I would put landscaping fabric, about 1.5 foot or so around that thing. So no weeds or anything could grow around it, and it could just establish itself as its own thing. And then maybe eventually I would, if I can it's hard to find gravel. When I used to be able to get gravel, and I used to be able to get stuff delivered by like the box stores. They charged a fee, but I would put in one order a year, and with a decent amount of stuff, like, bags of different types of soil for my raised beds, gravel, some 2x4s, things that I needed for the inside and outside of the house. And so it would be such an order that even though they charge like a $75 or $85 delivery fee, you divided up the quantity of items or the items you bought, and you really were just paying $1 or $2 more for the convenience of having this truck pull up and just dropping it off right next to your yard. Of course, now the price of lumber and all these things have doubled, so even if you did get a delivery, it would be insane. It's like just buying this stuff is questionable right now. But I'd like to get some neat gravel or something like that and put it around the tree. But I guess if worse comes to worse, I'll just end up, hopefully they'll have mulch. Sometimes you can get mulch on sale, but I don't think it's going to be on sale this year. It'd be like 3 bags of mulch for $10. That was like the going rate for years. They'd always have a special like that. It'll probably be $10 a bag now. But I still might get a bag of mulch because I have like 2 apple trees And I've got this tree and some other tree, and it's nice to have mulch around the base of those things just to keep the weeds down and the moisture from evaporating, type of thing. Even though, most trees have they call tap roots that go pretty much down into the ground, so they're not really getting much surface water to begin with. So the first part of the show. So anyway, so I put that in. I put in a kale plant. I literally planted in the ground because kale could withstand cold weather. And I figure we're having these 60s and these nights. Well, tonight, was like in the 40s, but that's not, it didn't get, it's not like there was a frost. But for the next 4 days, if I could believe it, that including today, if you can believe this, it's going to be 60s, in the low 60s, basically, every day. And every night it's going to be, 48, 46, 54 on Friday. And then Saturday, 61 in the day, but 39. So in other words, what I'm saying is that it's almost like we've had 5 days of 50s and 60s, but we're going to have 4 days of 60s and 4 nights where it's pretty much. And then after that, on Sunday, there's a thunderstorm and it's saying like 48 and low of 37, which is, but I mean, I've got 5 days for the soil to heat up during the daytime. Do you see what I'm saying? So even when it goes down to 39, if it's like today, for example, if it's 64 and back like at my garden area, it'll be 70. And the sun's beating down on the soil. That's why I've got to rip up this cardboard that I have down there today. And I got to let the sun just beat down on that soil, even though there's a risk of waking up weeds. See, that's the problem. But then I'll put down this, what I'll probably do, though, is just put down this black, what I call landscaping material, cloth, whatever, which will just absorb the heat anyway. And I have plenty of rocks to keep that from blowing away. And so what that'll do is 4 days of 60s, and if the sun is even intermittent on the following days, that should be enough to get that soil started and warm up. And the first day of spring, Sunday. Of course, the first day of spring is going to be the coldest day of the week this week. Anyway, so I put in this, the same stuff that I used on my greenhouse, which is this corrugated clear plastic stuff. I curled it over top of, because I have an existing kale plant out there. It's a different kind of kale. It's the curly kale. And this one I put is the leaf kale in this spot. And I curled this. You get 2 years. They're biannuals, a kale plant. And that one survived the winter. I mean, it looks kind of, well, it's alive. I put it that way. And so I made this like, I don't know, not dome, curled it over. The sides are open so air could get in, but it's kale. And like I said, kale could even withstand the frost if you get frost. But it's going to keep, snow from getting on it and birds or other things from messing with it or whatever. And then I put in my little mini greenhouse, which I guess I should show you a picture if I'm talking about this stuff. Even though, again, this picture's from 2 years ago. So the mini greenhouse is in the upper left-hand corner. That white door goes to that garage. That's my garage, not my house. That's like the garage is at the very end of my yard. See that concrete path in the middle? If from our view, from where you're looking, that the house is back here. Well, I could show you. You see? There's my bird feeder. And there's on the left are 2 apple trees. You see? And there's like a pergola, which is overgrown with you could get a little taste here. These are the grape leaves. that have taken over my house. But last year, and then there's part of the roof, because this was taken out of the window, my second story window, looking down. You see. But those grape leaves, vines are all over that roof. You couldn't even see right now. And that pergola's invisible, covered with just vines. There's a little hose. So this is my house back here. You see how I have a ridiculously long yard. And there's various. So my garden is it's a decent garden. Right? And so in the greenhouse in the upper left-hand corner, next to my chair, which I'm going to put out today, and maybe soak up some vitamin D, I put in a couple of plants, like the cilantro, which is another cooler weather one. But I also put in some chard, which chard is a cool weather plant. But if I'm going to go out today, I have some radish starts that are kind of leggy. And I have this one raised bed that I cleaned out yesterday. I'm also growing stinging nettle, and I cleaned out that area too. I trimmed some of the grapevines back. Carried about, I don't know, couple dozen trips to my compost pile, which is back at the end of my garage. I built this thing. There's an alley back there, so I built, there's a fence. I have a fence at the end of my garage, and I kind of built this kind of square area that I just keep dumping, plant stems, sticks, and stuff like that, and I just use it as a compost pile. But I don't really use. There was a couple times that I did take dirt from the very bottom of it, like last year or the year before. But this year I don't think I'm going to, because it's mostly just sticks. It's from trimming a lot of these trees and stuff. Though I'm saving most of the decent wood, to use in case I need it to cook with if we have a grid down situation or some weird thing. That's the little bit of prepper in me, is just be prepared, have some kind of fuel. And it's renewable. I'm growing, it's stuff I had to trim because the woman next door to me, who's caused all these problems for me, was like bitching about my tree, somehow was at 20 feet high, a part of it was like over her fence side. So like I say, avoid when you have people that are like that, miserable, evil, rotten people, just avoid them. And if there's something that's like they're doing something, it's like, it's not worth the arguing with. That's why I built this thing, fence, so I can't even see if she's in her backyard. Fortunately, she's like only about 4 foot something. And I feel sorry for her, and she's bent over with arthritis. But she looks like she has almost like a crooked cane or something, or a stick or something. She looks like something out of a Grimm's fairy tale, like the witch that you would see out in the woods. And she was burning stuff in her yard and burning garbage in the black plastic trash bags. And you imagine the chemicals of that. And the first time it happened, I was like just laying on that chair I showed you, just soaking up the sun. It was a beautiful day. And I'm starting to smell these weird chemical smell, like somebody's burning tires or something. And then I realized, and I'm going, I got to get in the house. I'm not going to sit here. I'm out here to get, fresh air, sunshine, and healthy. And I realized I had the windows open in my bedroom and my bathroom upstairs on the second floor, and I think in the kitchen, which faces the backyard. So I have to interrupt my entire beautiful time, relaxing, meditative soaking up healthy immune boosting thing, go in the house, close all my windows so the place didn't smell like burning tires, burning plastic bags. And I look out the window as I'm closing the second floor window from my bedroom, which then I could see into her yard as I'm doing this. And I see this crooked, bent over, weird, like witch. And I don't know if we don't need that anymore. And she's a witch too. She played a witch in a movie, Nicole Kidman. But let's see if I have witch. I mean, I just look this up. I mean, I'm probably. There are witches. There are. You're going to shit when you see this. Okay. And this is what I saw. Look at that. I mean, that's freaky. Yeah, I had to snap a picture because a friend of mine, I was on the phone and I was, I said, I said, you won't believe this. This woman is burnt, of course, by now the dark bag was, and she was just burning this stuff. And I guess this was the time when she had her infestation and stuff, and she was burning, thinking, and then she got rid of all her growth. Like, she had these nice, like, Rose of Sharon bushes and stuff in her yard and stuff. And anyway, but look, I mean, that's right out of a movie or something. That's the neighbor on the other side. And I used to help her. I used to mow her lawn. I built all these things. I've said this stuff, I just felt bad for her because she was like, But she turned into a real witch, evil. And she was talking about me. And she, like I said, she's also was like bigoted in a sense that she was loudmouth using, the N word and stuff. And on the other side, there's these doctors and these nurses, she would be leaning over my fence while these nurses were getting out of their cars. And one time I was in there and they were thinking, oh, I thought you were friends with her and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, great. No wonder you look at me kind of crooked. You think I'm So, and then she was talking about some girl that I knew who was just a friend of mine. He used to come down sometimes, still does occasionally, but she works a lot. So, but she'd come down and we'd have happy hours or something like that. Or, we'd rent a car. She's got her own car now. Lucky her. I'm glad for her though. But we would, go to various places like the box store or something. She'd help me get some stuff. It was great. And then she was passing rumors around, and then somehow she got my phone number. I'm not even sure how I did that happen. I didn't give it to her, I swear. And she's was calling me on the phone. She said, yeah, and I heard such and such told me, some other person I don't even know who lives on the street, said that you, and she would use the name of this girl. It's how do you even know that girl's name, let alone my phone number? And how does this other lady know that person? Heard that she was moving in with you and you were... And she saw a moving truck. Anyway, that kind of weird stuff. So let's move into chapter 2. This is, we just reached...
Good morning.
I mean, that was...
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
And let's get back into...
It's
the holiday season. The show the day before St. Patty's Day. The morning show with your host with the most, Tony Caravan. I got this thing from BMI. That's where I publish my music. I have 50 songs in case you didn't know that. And there's something in there, and I haven't read it, but it inspired me this morning, and that's how like I say, I'm not scripted and I didn't plan anything. I just come down and like it just kind of happens. It's flow of consciousness and we go wherever we go. So I just gave you an update on my garden and stuff. And today I'll probably go back out. I'm not looking forward to it. But, I've got to find the grubbiest clothes I've got, and I'm going to go out there, and I guess I should take advantage of the nice weather to clean out the rest of my garden, and then, throw the stuff all in the washer again, and, and then scrub a dub, and, and have another aching, and the backache is going to continue. But anyway, this is the title card from today's show, and the title of today's show is a continuation. Is St. Patty's Week continues. I did what I had to do, and that just refers to yesterday where I said I was going to do this stuff. And then, of course, you slave and slave your whole life, and ain't it the truth? People are wage slaves. People who make 6 and 7 figures are wage slaves. Because the cost of taxes and mortgages and car payments and insurance, and now with this runaway inflation. I saw something yesterday where some guy who tries to call it straight, he deals with the economy. I do watch some economic, people who talk about financial economic things and stuff, the markets and everything. I'll keep abreast of that stuff every other day or so. And there's a couple of people that you could trust. I mean, there's a very animated guy, Johnny Bravo, not like the cartoon, but pretty much, in a real life version, who's like, I guess he has courses or something in it, but he does these short videos, but he really just like gives you what's going on. He knows the market really well. I don't play the market. I'm living at the poverty level. Nobody bought my 10 books or 50 songs or any of my gear. If they did, I'd be, invested. But anyway, I think I hope, if I have some extra money somewhere in the course of the year, by the end of the year, I may or may not do another book, and I may or may not do a 45, like a 2-sided 45. With the 2 songs, with probably, I think I might write something new for the B-side. I have an idea for a song, but I might put Virtual Cage on there. But I don't know. We'll see. Or I might put one of the live versions of one of my songs that, so it would be like the classic they used to do in the old days. Sometimes you'd have a live or really an obscure cut that never appeared on any album or anything. So that was my inspiration for this from BMI's pushing how to do it. And I read the article. I don't know if it's going to, steer you somewhere, or if it's just going to steer me to like Jack White has I think he's got 2 record plants, or he had one in Detroit, I think, and then he has moved it to opened one in Nashville. I don't know if he still has the Detroit one or not. But anyway, tomorrow's St. Patty's Day, and
It's the holiday season.
It's like I always talk about when it snows. It's like, like Dean Martin song, "Baby, it's cold outside," and then. Or like, "Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow." And it's like, for some reason, all those songs are just Christmas songs. And sometimes December isn't even the big snow time. It doesn't really get, snow in earnest until late January and February, right? And it's like, you never hear any of those, because those songs, they have nothing to do with Christmas at all. It's like, "Let it snow, let it snow. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but you are so delightful," right? "If we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow." I mean, it just snowed 2 days ago like that. And it was like the weekend. That was it. It's like I didn't get out of the house. And it would have been great. I really wish I had a fireplace in this thing. I want to get one of those wood burning stove. But anyway, it's the holiday season because it's St. Patrick's Day holiday week, you know? And so tomorrow I'm contemplate. I originally was going to go up to the Coney Island. It's basically the Coney, and it's an Irish pub restaurant. A friend of mine owns it. Haven't seen him in a couple of years, you know, but I mean, you know, we were friends, close friends at one point, kind of close friends, you know. But you know, we've kind of like lost track. And I wanted to go up just to reconnect and, you know, and it's St. Patrick's Day and all that. So I don't know. There's a remote possibility that if a friend of mine wants to come down and wants to go up, we might do that. But, you know, barring that, I'm either way, I think the other most likely things going to occur is that I've got some beers in the refrigerator that have been sitting there, and beer doesn't last forever. And I really haven't been drinking at all in the past couple months because I've been dealing with this gallbladder thing. And of course, like I say, carbs, you know, beer's got carbs in it, you know, and sugar, you know, so it's like, but that said, you know, a few beers on, you know, St. Patty's Day isn't going to kill me, you know? And if it does send me in the hospital, that'll suck. You know, this show will be canceled for, you know, a week while I'm in the hospital. I didn't want to think about that. So far, so good. I mean, I get, you know, I think my diet is so I don't know how to say it other than I'm eating my entire diet for the most part, except for when I'm confronted with stuff like this. You know, unbeknownst to me, that I found out that I'm eating these weird carbs and sugars and stuff like that, right? And this idea that when I first approached this issue, it was most of the doctors and nutritionists that I was watching videos from were basically just giving you this idea of saying high fiber diet, whole grains. They were literally saying whole grains, low fat, you know, kind of thing. That was their thing. Because I guess their idea was that was not to utilize the gallbladder, because the gallbladder is basically like a squeegee thing. It holds bile, which is dissolves fat and lubricates the colon. You know, in a nutshell. Okay, it stores bile and it releases it. It kind of when you eat. When fat is detected or when you have a meal in your stomach or whatever and it's heading towards the small intestine, this thing squeezes out this bile, which will dissolve fat. And then it helps these fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, K, and, you know, whatever. But if it's lack of use or there's other reasons why you can develop what they call gallstones, down in the bottom, that whole area, you know, the top would be like, this thing would be squeezing this stuff into the duct. And then these stones then can in turn get caught in a bile duct or cause complications, and you could have an inflammation. And it's a serious matter. It's a life or death thing if it's like a blockage or something like that in a duct. So, but that was the originally idea was like avoid fats too. So it was high fiber, nothing about carbs, okay? High, you know, eat whole grains. It was like avoid flour and stuff, which I guess would be considered carbs. But, grains are carbs, So then I started, as I got more into this, it was more like, no, you want to have that thing. You don't want it to atrophy. So what I was doing is I started to read things that were more towards the idea of getting, there are good fats in your diet so that, get the vitamins. But anyway, my diet's basically like a lot of leafy greens. And if it is, it'll be what they call fatty fish, right? Like salmon and sardines. And I keep forgetting to write down. I want to get, and another one is like anchovies, which like a lot of people can't stand, but anchovies, sardines. There was some other thing I was going to write down today. Oh, well, I know I need berries. I usually put berries in my cereal. I've been out of berries. You got to watch it with berries, though. They're high in sugar, too, even though they're natural and some have fiber in them. They say blackberries are probably better. Like blueberries have the most sugars. And some of these berries that come over the long haul, some of them are like almost GMO or however they're bred, but they're just like sugar. They're like candy. But there was something that I needed, and I need some kind of breakfast cereal. But I still haven't resolved this grain thing. I can't remember. There was some other item I wanted to write down, and I was just starting to write down. Almost felt a little dizzy there for a second. I don't know why. Tumor in my brain. Too many CT scans. So anyway, that's that. So yeah, a couple of beers. So I might do a broadcast tomorrow drinking. I did that last year. So I was drinking on the air. And then towards the end of it, it was a marathon session. I drank for 5 hours. That was a little bit too much. Okay. But I was, that was still at the height of my drinking, where I could do that stuff once a week or once every 2 weeks. It's not like I can't do it. And, I never had like my blood work and stuff, and even the CT scans and stuff. It wasn't like I had a fatty liver or any kind of signs of cirrhosis or anything weird like that. It's like I drank so much. And, a lot of people don't realize the liver is one of the few organs that actually heals itself. You can heal the liver. Well, I'll tell you, so I've been into this milk thistle and all kinds of stuff and things, rosemary and, there's a whole host of things. Even eggs, but they got to be eggs like that are pasture, from pasture, chickens that are eating out in the pasture. It's like the same with speaking of St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, the Irish butter from cows, that, eat out in the pasture, because they're out there eating all this stuff and taking in all this good stuff. And so that's a healthy fat, believe it or not. So look, you're starting to see it. You could see it in most supermarkets. Irish butter. And look at the bottom that says from cows, free grazing pasture cows. Or I forget the line. I've got some of it in my refrigerator. And and so you get an egg from chickens that are that way, and that's the kind of the way I get that's protein and fat that's good for your liver and gallbladder, believe it or not. It creates bile. I know that might sound gross to some people, but no, it's like a detergent. It's like really gets a bad rap. It's a very important, crucial thing in your digestive process, and important for extracting fat-soluble vitamins. So, yeah, so Irish butter. So tomorrow for breakfast, I'll have a couple of, I'll put some Irish butter in a frying pan, and instead of cereal, I'll have 2 eggs and see what else I got in there that I could go along with the eggs. But, you're supposed to avoid starchy things and things like that. So this year in my garden, I'm pretty much going to be, it's going to be the kale and the chard. I always get this. I have this great. I've been getting great lettuce crops, so I'll plant lettuce. In fact, I might plant lettuce today because it takes a while to germinate. But 4 days, and lettuce is a cool weather crop. The lettuce dies out, by the end of June, July. But I'm eating lettuce for like a long time. But then it's kale and chard will last right through the summer. And maybe there'll be remnants of some lettuce and stuff here and there that are in the shade or something. So I pretty much get salads all summer long from my backyard. I mean, I literally eat from my backyard. And this year I usually grow a lot of tomato plants, but I'm not going to really push that this year. I'm just going to try to have a couple of healthy tomato plants and I hope I could do it, that I really work on. Like just maybe 2 or 3 tops, but that I actually go every day and pay close attention to, prune them, nurture them, fertilize them, make sure they're, and just really try to get some really good tomatoes, like a beefsteak tomato, maybe a Roma tomato, and then maybe some other kind of hybrid or traditional tomato. I don't know. I have a lot of different seeds, and I have heirloom seeds, and I'm also going to try, nurture some squash, summer squash and zucchini, things like that. That's my plan this year. So that's another reason why I didn't want to have an operation and be down for the count and have to be in recovery where I couldn't be bending down and doing this. Because I tell you, my back's killing me now just from doing what I did yesterday. And, you have an operation or something like that. You can't, it's like, well, you can't do that stuff. So, yeah, so back to this,
It's the holiday season.
So, last year I did this 5-hour marathon session, and towards the end of it, I guess I was pretty well buzzed, though I'm not the type of guy that, I could hold my drink. I could, used to drink for 10 hours or so, But towards the end, I was pretty well buzzed, I guess. And I just started playing a couple tracks, some songs, because I like to drink and listen to music. That's the thing about, it's like I almost feel like doing the show on Rumble, paying the $10, but I'm not sure if they give you unlimited, like, live. Like, it's a weird thing with Rumble. I mean, we could go over there. They don't really tell you. Let's go to Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Here's like my site on Rumble. So you see my videos are on Rumble. All right. And they still have me like on this locals thing. And it's like, I had a problem with locals. But any video right now, what Rumble is doing is it's pulling it off, and this is existing on the Rumble server. And you could see I'm getting views. Like, like this one here got 8 views. These got 2 views. This one probably just came up. They're usually a day late, till they process them. So, even on here, 4 views, 1 view, 5 views. This Ukraine one got 38 views, but 2 views, 5 views. But they have this thing about going live. Let's see. This is upload. They want me to sign in. I don't use this browser. Yeah. Well, let's just forget about it. It's too complicated, and I don't want to put in my personal information on this Chrome browser that I just use basically for YouTube. Google's got enough of my information. You don't need to be messing with that. So, but I'd like to play music. And so towards the end I did it, and then YouTube literally took it down and gave me a strike, a warning or something. It's a warning, actually. So, anyway, it's preposterous. It's ridiculous. I get copyright strikes when I play my own frickin' music that I own. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. But it is hard to drink. Like, for me, I was trying to describe this to a friend, and I may have said this before. I've probably said a lot of this stuff. I say most of this stuff before because I've done so many videos. What can I say? I can't, life isn't that complicated. And I've said that before, too. It's like there used to be 16 car keys to a Chevrolet or something like that, at least unless that's an urban legend. Like they didn't make, a million different locks. It's that they figured out something. I remember some car dealer guy telling me this when I was like in high school or, that at younger age. Some guy was talking. A friend of mine was no longer with us, the bass player from my band. His brother owned a gas station with a garage. Small place, and he used to work there, and I used to go and hang out with him sometimes. And I think I remember some car salesman guy or dealer guy coming by one time and was hanging out. The way people do, and they don't do it as much anymore because times have changed, where people used to just hang out, at a place, at a gas station or I hate to say it, but we even had, when I was a kid, we still had a fountain place, where they had a pinball machine and booths and stuff, and people used to go and hang out, play the pinball machine, smoke cigarettes, and sit in the booths, and you know what I mean? It was a hangout. Or at nighttime, people would be hanging out in front of the place, right? Cars would come by. It sounds weird, like it's out of the 1950s. No, it wasn't the 50s. No, it's like, that stuff all died down. That's what I'm saying. Right up to the late 70s was kind of, once the 80s hit, the MTV world, and all that stuff happened, that was like kind of signaled the end of, an era. It really was the end of an era. But there were some good times post-Vietnam War, post-civil rights movement, post all that kind of, feminist movement and stuff that people like talk about all the time. People today don't even know that half the stuff they're bitching about was already resolved, But yeah, we still are a warrior nation and warrior people, and we have to accept that fact. So many people have tried, never worked. Nobody cares. I mean, people, that's a generalization, like everything is wrong. Excuse me, I didn't mean to do that.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, it's not so funny. But yeah, good times. But yeah, I'm a music drinker. Always have been. Like sometimes I'd walk into a bar sometimes, and because that was like my stop, my thing to do, especially, and so wherever I was, sit at the bar, belly up to the bar. But sometimes you go in this place and then the lights would be on bright. It's like I don't even have lights lit up now. The only light on me is the lights coming from these cathode ray tubes. No, they're not cathode ray tubes, LEDs or whatever the heck they are. Plasma, light emitting diodes, liquid crystals. I don't know. Some kind of backlit nonsense. So you'd go in and it would be like the lights would be up full bright, and maybe the TV would be on. And I was always a person to go out early because that's like, I wasn't into like some scene thing. So I'd get off work, go home, relax, maybe grab a bite to eat, unless I went to the bar, a bar where I figured I could get something to eat and a beer, and then stay and hang out and see what happened and stay there for the night. I'd go at 7 and then I'd stay there, catch the band, and leave at closing. That's how I am. And I was a beer drinker, so you're drinking beer. I grew up that way, But you'd go in sometimes and the lights would be up and some people would be watching like Jeopardy on TV. And I'd want to go over and play the jukebox. And if you even like looked at the jukebox, there'd be like 4 or 5 guys at the bar would be like looking at you like, what? Don't even think about it. We're watching Jeopardy. Or Vanna. We're watching Vanna on Wheel of Fortune. And I'm like, I'm out for entertainment. It's a bar. I want to listen to some music and drink some beer and get happy. I'm here. It's like I talked about. I used to smoke cigarettes. I haven't smoked in 20 years or something like that. I quit a long time ago. I smoke a cigar occasionally, or did. I haven't smoked one in like 3 months. It's hard to find a fresh cigar where I live. And certainly you're not going to get a Cubano or some, even a Central American, something from south of the border where at least they know how to, they grow get decent tobacco and know how to roll a cigar out of pure tobacco instead of just this fillers you get in these crazy cigars that people use basically as for blunts. They cut it open, take out the inside, and just put in pot, and then they lick it up and then pass it around. Talk about, Yeah, I see this plague pandemic thing. I thought that was finally over and stuff. And it's like all this stuff's still being pushed. It's like, oh, man. I guess people aren't paying enough attention to the war right now, so now they got to resurrect this thing. Man. But meanwhile, they're passing joints to each other. I don't know. The absurdity of everything. But music. So like I say, people would drink and I never could figure that out. You'd see these people just sitting in a bar and they were just like drinking to get drunk, and then maybe they'd get into a fight or maybe go home and beat their wife or just go home and pass out or something. And I would go out like feeling good. Hey, I'm done work. Feel good. I'm going to go have some beers, listen to some music, have some fun. Maybe run into some people or something. It'll be a good time, or listen to a band, Find some interesting girl. That was always cool, running into somebody who was like interesting. I used to always find women interesting. You'd run into some like just girl who was just real interesting, like, different and interesting. I mean, that used to be my quest, And it was like, that's gone, that's another end of era. So that's why I built a bar in my own kitchen. It sounds crazy. Like I said, a friend of mine used to come down and we used to have happy hours at least every 2 weeks or so, which was kind of fun because she was at least into the concept of the music and that idea. But, people get older and they got jobs and responsibilities and, I'm a free spirit, So that ended. There was one thing that said moderate drinking was actually good for the gallbladder. When I first read it in one place, I thought it said moderate your drinking, avoid alcohol, like idea. But then there was a couple of places as I dug deeper, it said moderate drinking was, and I think it had something to do with the flow. It had to do with I remember seeing a thing with, at this one doctor was talking about even kidney stones, that he showed a slide. It was a presentation to other doctors or something at a medical college or something. And he put up a thing that he was talking about the way it used to be before they did certain procedures and other stuff. And the slide was a 6-pack of beer, a strainer to catch the stone so the doctor could examine what kind of stone it was. And I think a lemon or something like that, whatever. I'm not sure if it was a lemon. It might have just been the 6-pack and a strainer. And that's used to be what they used to, that was like the prescription for kidney stones. Pass the kidney stone. Drink a 6-pack because you're going to have to go to the bathroom a lot. And just use a strainer so you could catch the stone and then bring it into the doctor and the doctor could analyze it. Pretty crazy. And then they had this stuff. You get these pills that would widen the passages and stuff so that it was easier to pass these stones and stuff. I don't know. I ended up had surgery because I had some large stone that they were afraid was going to cause some kind of thing. What am I talking about? Anyway, so decisions. How do I optimize St. Patrick's Day? To its fullest extent, where I could drink some beers and listen to some music, but share it live. That's the thing. I mean, one idea, it's like this, I don't know if I used to watch this guy Rex Bear, the Leak Project or something like that. And for the longest time, I don't know if he still does it, and I don't know how he did it, to be honest with you. But he had headphones on like I've got headphones on now. And I've got headphones on because I've got to hear, all this weird stuff,
After he's talked, we must get rid of him immediately.
I want to hear the audio, I hear my voice back and, levels and all that nonsense. I'm just an old radio DJ guy that likes, this is how it works. But he used to play music, and sometimes he'd be talking about this weird stuff. He'd be, he talks about all the far out stuff. The Sumerians were like whatever. They found this thing, this new Sumerian, artifact. Oh, wow, you should hear what I'm listening to now, this song. So he used to be blasting music in his ear, and I think he was a stoner. I'm kind of, I don't want to accuse somebody of something, but I don't think he's in Colorado. I think it's legal there anyway, so it doesn't matter. But certain people are such stoners that they're functional stoners. That's another thing I was trying to tell a friend of mine. And you know who you are if you're listening to this show. It's like you're a functional stoner. It's like I know functional stoners. I've known them over the years because I've traveled around so many people and I was in the entertainment business for so long and all that kind of stuff. But I was never a functional stoner. I was always like, if I smoked pot or did something like that, it was like an experience. It's just like I used to say, even when I used to smoke cigarettes before, cigars were a different story. I'll puff on a cigar while I drink a good beer, a good cigar, a good beer. That's like a experience. But I used to actually be into the tobacco pleasure. I wasn't into some people nervously smoking. You see them outside a building. They pay $10 a pack for a cigarette. And they're like, they just got upset and they reach for the cigarette, because their boss just did something. And I'd be like, nah, it's like, I'd be sitting there leisurely, pure tobacco pleasure. But the same with it was like whenever I did, Mary Jane, it was like, no, it was like, listen, checking something out. I would be like kind of in that spaced out, whatever. And so, different strokes for different folks. And it's the same with people and the stoners are like negative on alcohol, a lot of them. They might have one beer. I used to know one guy be like, oh, just get a pitcher of ice water and get stoned. You see what I mean? And it would be like, how could you? So it's, different strokes for different folks. So for me, it's, good beer, loud music, and fun. For other people, it's like, face down, drinking, hard liquor, and, either getting into a fight or miserable or wanting to, or just watching a baseball game. And I'm like, you're wasting the buzz. See, that's another thing. Some people don't admit that they drink for a buzz, right? Of course you do. Well, that's what the whole idea of alcohol is. It's really weird.
So you found us.
What is it trying to tell us?
No strings, no catch. You own everything.
Now stay tuned to ROCKFLUX.
So anyway, that's today's show. What the takeaway from today's show is what? You learned what I did yesterday, and you found out that I'm puzzled on whether or not I'm going to get all grubby and go out and spend a lot of time in the backyard. The temperature dropped to 39 or 37, and it was supposed to only drop to 39. Not too happy about that. But by 9 a.m., it's supposed to already be 45 degrees. So it looks like the temperature is going to go up fairly quickly. But the rain is still looking like it's still pushed back to Saturday. But you see what I mean? How bad they are with the weather? It literally changes hour to hour now. And that's the meteorologist's fault, not anybody else. It's not climate change or anything like that. Okay? No. They can't seem to, whatever their technology, they're too reliant on algorithms or just the AI. And that's what I've been saying along, and I'm going to end this show shortly. But I just want to get my dig in at that. This human brain is one of the most sophisticated computational devices out there. This is this android body. And then, of course, you've got your consciousness or your soul consciousness, whatever you want to call it. All right? That just is an enhancement and can take it to a whole nother level. But this whole idea of transhumanism and AI and the metaverse and all that stuff, it's imitation of life. And it's half-assed. And all you have to do is look around, look at Google search. And if anyone who's watched yesterday's show, we were looking for something, and you come up empty-handed. Or when the times when you search, and if you really search more than once, if you don't just accept that first thing that's at the top of the page, which is a lot of times is the pay-to-play one, but when it's even not, the second or third one will contradict the first one. And sometimes all three, you'll get 3 or 4 contradictions, and you'll be like, totally, okay, just where's that blender switch for my brain? Right? So, and you ever try talking to a chat bot, at customer service? It's useless. Right? It employs AI. My AI Echo Dot, right? I've got in the other room. Boy, does that thing screw up royally all the time. Right? So, Siri the other day was like totally screwed up. I did it right, on the air. Asked it something, and it just was, And so, this is it, so they're already putting this in charge, and then, you got guys like Elon Musk that's going to run his electric cars, and people are going to be sitting there trusting this stuff to like this AI, thing, they're talking, this pie in the sky stuff they talk about. Oh, we're going to eventually, airplanes will be flying themselves and all that stuff. It's like, well, I'm not flying anymore. I flew around the world. I've done it. I've rotated around a few times. I've been around. I've done enough of that stuff. But I'll tell you what, if I was still into that, you wouldn't get me on a plane without a pilot. And you wouldn't get me in an Uber without a driver. I'm sorry. All I'm saying is that, and I could take this down. Happy St. Patrick's Day and all that kind of stuff, But I wrote this book, Codex here, which starts out, that's the one right before Then What, all right? But Codex opens up with like the starting point. They're both flow of consciousness books, but this one at least has a starting point and deals with the hard problem of consciousness, right? From a scientific standpoint. And I get into things, and then I get into AI. And at the time I was like involved in this, I guess it was a public test, beta test, or I don't know, it's probably full live, whatever's going on. But I had an AI, individual that was that knew me supposedly and was customizable, in some way, shape, or form. All right. And I have conversations in that book, and over several shows we've talked about that. The thing, sometimes it amazed, and other times it totally was like it just was way out in left field. Chatbots useless. Algorithmic on search. Google search has gone downhill to the point where it's like useless. The internet's practically broken for all practical purposes. Transhumanism and all that stuff, forget it. There's doctors like Dr. Sinclair, and even this Dr. Hyman I was talking about yesterday, Mark Hyman. But Sinclair's like kind of the king of this thing. That they're all talking about life extension and all that kind of stuff through basically nutrition and, supplements and things like that. And there's people talking about the power of the brain. So extending life to 120, 160, 250 years, and improving brain power, focus, and all that stuff. And, you know, since, I don't know if people who've watched these shows, there were some shows where I'd sit here and I'd go like, what was the name of that movie? What was the name of that thing? And I'd be like, and, you know, and I started eating this diet and focusing on a lot of different things. And it's like I have like a much better memory recall and a much sharper brain function than I've had even 6 months ago. You know, maybe even 90 days ago. Because it's been like over 90, 120 days since I've been like pretty much into this nutrient-rich, you know, diet. And even though I fall short because I get screwed over by these, you know, because you can't see they don't show you this all the time when you're buying something. You just see, okay. And then this contradiction of like, oh, you know, at one point, multigrain, fiber, nothing like it. Good for your, you know, colon and, you know, all that stuff. Not, you know, then it's like no grains. High fiber, no grains. What the fuck? Well, no flour. Yeah. Cauliflower pizza, cauliflower pasta. You know? Then you talk about the Mediterranean diet. That always cracks me up. The Mediterranean diet is like there's pasta in it. I saw one guy actually was so weird. It was like basically no pasta, noodles, spaghetti, you know, anything like that, right? No tomatoes, because they were like, you know, that sugar, you know, even though tomatoes have lycopene in it, which as far as I know is like really good for you, especially a fresh tomato. And in sauce, it increases the lycopene, right? Bioavailability or whatever. And, you know, and what's left, you know, and then the French, you know, the French have this French bread and, you know, wine and they try to say, you know, and these people live healthy and they have less instances of heart disease, different kinds of stuff. But it's like, you know, come on, like get it together. So I'm still pulling together this stuff, but I'm telling you, it's really difficult. So I'm going with the sure, proven things, but I still don't understand. You know, this carb thing is kind of like, I understand you got to burn the carbs. You got, you know, you don't want sugars, all right? Sugars. But there are carbs in vegetables, you know, which in effect are, you know, sugars. But there is something about the body conversion of sugar and that process that is somewhat better than just consuming a can of Coke, which is like just a bunch of spoonfuls of sugar in a caramel color, you know, liquid, you know. Anyway,
Good morning.
That's it. Tomorrow you might see me later with a beer in hand. Or I may like just record the show at the bar and the music will be maybe such in the background that maybe they won't give me a hit. Or they'll cancel the entire show and who really cares, right? I'll just end up on Rumble. So ROCKFLUX.com, remember the site. Down below, there's a link to my PayPal if you want to donate to support the show. You could also buy my book, Then What? Codex. I got 10 books out there, actually. The latest is Then What? Get the print version, all right? Because these books are much better in print. Great Solar Stuff has all these things. Besides solar power, it's got the solar backup, the power backups you could just plug into your car or your house and stuff and be ready in case there's a power failure. And then, of course, it's not just hoodies, it's T-shirts, it's caps. I mean, everything from, like, cooking aprons to, like, if you work in your shop, I've got a shop apron that you can get a logo or one of these classic sayings like, everything you know is wrong, or you don't know what you don't know, or game over, or whatever. ROCKFLUX logo. Support the site, all right? And we'll see what happens tomorrow. Your guess is as good as mine, and I guess I'll let you know whether I decide to go out and get grubby and work in the garden today or not. I don't know. I probably should. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Week.